Help it, man. This is real life that we're talking about. We're not talking about dingleberries and applesauce. It's
Yeah.
real life.
And that's always been my whole thing, and have lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that.
You do it, right?
Yeah.
I know
He did it.
you've been heavy on
No,
social
he
media
did it. He
talking
did
about
it.
it.
He did it. And I'm the only one who's been vocal about this long before it actually. But I also didn't participate. I also didn't go to those parties.
No.
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. He wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to you.
And Terrence Howard worked on my first film, Get Rich or Die Trying with me. He's a good friend of mine.
Just when it seemed like the Diddy chaos couldn't get any crazier, bam, 50 Cent jumps in with a wild claim, saying he might have actually saved Terrence Howard from getting dragged into Diddy's freaky world. But wait, it gets even messier. Terrence is finally breaking his silence and calling out names. He's exposing how some major industry figures never told Diddy no, and were more than willing to trade in their pride at those infamous FO parties. Terrence says he barely escaped the madness himself. And here's where things really go off the rails. Diddy's team allegedly reached out to Terrence, asking him to be part of Docuseries. Did he say yes? From what's being reported, Terrence and 50 were actually planning to spill everything. Now the big question is, who said yes to Diddy? Some major names are being thrown around, and a few of your favorite rappers might be on that list. This story is spiraling fast. So, does 50 Cent really have the receipts ready to drop in that docuseries and expose everyone who showed up to Diddy's wild parties? And what really happened when Diddy allegedly tried to pull Terrence Howard into one of those scenes? Let's break down this madness. I'm always right. It's like,
I'm always right. It's like when I'm right, I'm right. And when I'm wrong, I could have been right. So I'm still right because I could have been wrong.
when I'm right, I'm right. And when I'm wrong, I could have been right. So I'm still right because I could have been wrong. In case you missed it, Terrence Howard recently appeared on the PBD podcast and delivered one wild interview. He opened up about how some big names in the industry straight up traded their integrity for...
Do all those things. When you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the Puffy party.
access to those exclusive Hollywood parties. But then things got even deeper. Terrence didn't hold back. He claimed that same shady behavior went down at Diddy's parties too. When you give up those things, when you give up your manhood, I've never seen someone come back from that. Terrence said that was all the people that went to the Puffy party. He implied that many celebrities didn't walk out the same.
That was all the people that went to the Puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and pimped out by some over greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card, no matter what.
Same way they walked in. And when host Patrick Bet David name-dropped Justin Bieber, suggesting he might have been caught up in Diddy's twisted world, Terrence didn't deny it. In fact, he backed it up, saying, "You can see how some of these stars are still carrying the weight of what went down. Whatever happened at those parties left marks, and not the kind that fade." He continued, "That was all the people who went to those Puffy parties. The ones who did..."
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the
Hell
consequences
yeah.
when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to...
did all those things thinking there'd never be a consequence. They got punked out and pimped out by some bigger desire. But you should have a greater desire, like being a man. I think that's a big issue with a lot of actors out there. They get fluid, and once you go fluid, it's gone. you lose your foundation. You don't have anything to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card, no matter what. But Terrence didn't stop there.
Be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you like, or looking at you like you're a woman. You know, when you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So always be the man in the room.
He dropped a major bombshell. He claimed Diddy actually tried to make a move on him. According to Terrence, it started off innocent. Diddy reached out, acting like he wanted help with his acting.
You see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place, what benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal.
Then, suddenly, things took a turn, and Diddy started showing interest in Terrence himself. Terrence explained that Diddy had been inviting him for weeks, supposedly to help with acting. He wanted me to be his acting coach for a while, Terrence said. So I go over there, and he's just sitting around staring. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's still just looking at me. Then Diddy suddenly changed the subject. He's like, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music.
Do it, right?
Yeah.
I know
He did it.
you've been heavy on social
No, he
media
did it. He
talking
did
about
it.
it.
He did it. And I'm the only one who's been vocal about this long before it actually.
Oh, you've been saying this for a long time now, and then no one was, they're just, why is he saying this? And now it's coming out like crazy. I mean,
But I also didn't participate. I also didn't go to those parties.
Yeah.
So a lot of the celebrity culture that you don't hear saying anything is because they participated to a degree.
Was there a reason you never went to those parties back in the day? Obviously, I know what was going on there, but is there a reason you never did?
I'm just not with all that freaky shit. Like all of the stuff that he's doing, I'm not into that type of stuff. I'm just a little more, maybe you could say basic or normal.
So I come over and play the music, and he's just sitting there, looking at me, waiting. That's when Terrence's assistant pulled him aside and said, he wants to hang out with you next week. Terrence asked, for what? And the assistant replied, I think he's trying to bleep you. But here's the kicker. Diddy wasn't the only one pulling shady moves. Terrence said he had similar run-ins with other major producers, all of them making weird backdoor offers. Terrence made it clear he stood his ground. He wasn't about to sell himself out, no matter what the offer was. And because of that, he says
I say 50 Cent is unmatched. He is unmatched. His pettiness goes beyond anybody that has ever been petty in the hemisphere of pettyism in this damn universe. Child, 50 Cent made a bidding war off of Diddy Do It. Diddy Do It was bought by Netflix, baby. So this docuseries will be out about everything that has happened since Cassie has filed this lawsuit against Diddy. Leave 50 Cent out of everything because this man's pettiness is beyond compare.
Missed out on some huge Hollywood deals. He kept it real, and it came with a price. Terrence, be hands off of somebody. A number of producers came with that approach, and I threatened to punch them in the mouth or knock their heads off for talking to me or looking at me like I'm a woman. When you approach a real man like that, you're going to get a real reaction. There's a difference between a guy walking into a room and a man walking into a room. A man doesn't take the same kind of treatment a guy might accept. Always be the man in the room. And he wasn't about to bend over, literally or figuratively, as you'd expect. Social media exploded once Terrence's interview started making the rounds. People couldn't stop talking. Terrence, you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see others who just can't get out of their head. No matter how it happened, drunk, high, whatever. You gave up your man card. You need therapy. That's what hurts them the most. He continued, they end up on drugs or spiraling, trying to erase what they did. That's what the industry does. The women who trade their bodies to get roles. They may win an Oscar, they may get the money, but they don't have their dream anymore. They don't have the soul they started with. So what's the point? If I win all the Nobel Prizes but have to trade my integrity to do...
No, check this out. I made $12,000 for doing Hustle and Flow. And then on top of it, what Paramount did, instead of putting my name as Terrence Howard performing the songs, they put performed by DJ. Well, they own DJ. So guess what? The performance royalties went to Paramount. They went,
Wait a minute. They didn't go to Terrence Howard. They went to
$12,000. That's all I ever made from Hustle and Flow.
Just to help someone else stay in power. What did I really gain? You have to go in with principles. The craziest part? Most celebrities are staying completely silent, like they've never even met Diddy, except for a few bold ones, like 50 Cent and Cat Williams.
Sue Paramount or send them a letter.
Are you serious?
I got to send them a letter to say, hey, you guys owe me about 20 years worth of residuals and performance royalties. But I didn't know, I was just, trying to pay my rent then. I made $6,000 doing Crash. Crash didn't...
I remember the movie Crash, yes, that's right, that's right.
The business don't pay actors anything. That's why the strike is going on. Actors are struggling.
Everyone else is pretending they don't know a thing. Right now, Terrence is the only major star who's openly said Diddy tried to make a move on him. That's a bold move, and people are watching. Speaking of 50 Cent, he's been dropping more details about his upcoming documentary on Diddy. When asked why he's one of the few speaking out, he kept it real. 50 Cent, I've been talking about this for a long time. Nobody listened. They just asked, why is he saying this? And now it's all coming out like crazy. Host, you never went to those parties, right? 50 Cent. Nah, I didn't participate. I knew what was going on. I'm just not into all that freaky bleep. I'm more, maybe you could say, basic. Tyrese is now joining the conversation. He posted a clip from Terrence Howard's interview on Instagram and captioned it, "No comment. I'm staying positive. God help us all." Meanwhile, 50 Cent's idea of staying positive is turning this entire Diddy drama into content for his upcoming Netflix documentary, which promises to expose everything. And here's where things start to get extra petty. Word on the street is that 50 Cent has already reached out to Terrence Howard, asking if he'd be willing to join the documentary and spill even more tea about how Diddy...
That doesn't scream loyalty. What does? But now, Jay's ghosting the whole situation.
A lot of things, man. Most importantly, you know, he had a recital that he has to be at the group. But I reached out to him, and I told him that this right here was important. Bad Boy celebrating 20 years of hits. And this is extended family. You've been there with me through my ups and downs. And this is extended family. You've been there with me through my ups and downs. Whenever I get in trouble, this is the one I call. It's my strategist right here. This is my brother. It's B.I.G.'s brother. Yes, sir. It's Brooklyn's own Brooklyn.
Allegedly tried to pull him into one of those infamous FO sessions. When I say 50 Cent is unmatched, I mean he is unmatched. His level of pettiness goes beyond anyone who's ever been petty in the entire history of pettiness. Seriously, 50 Cent sparked a whole bidding war with Diddy Do It, and Netflix ended up buying it. So this Docuseries will cover everything that's unfolded since Cassie filed her lawsuit against Diddy.
Approved.
No, you're not sure. I love you, but Sean is a
Sean
whole
not there
different,
yet. I
like,
appreciate that. I'm not there yet.
You know, yeah.
Who is Sean approved from the world of entertainment?
There's only one person.
Oh, go on.
And I call him Sean. That's Jay-Z. We call each other Seon.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody else could call me Sean.
He's the only person who's Sean approved.
There's not a single person that
outside of family.
That should be outside of my mother.
Okay, just
that should be calling me. Yeah, that should be calling.
Leave 50 Cent out of the drama if you want, but his pettiness is truly on another level. And honestly, it's no surprise he wants Terrence to be part of the Did He Do It series. These two have history. 50 has supported Terrence in the past, especially when he opened up about being scammed out of millions and being blackballed by major studios. Both have had their share of encounters with Hollywood's darker side. Recently, Terrence has been speaking out louder than ever about inequality in the industry. But he says it's not just about money. It's deeper than that. He believes there's a deliberate push in Hollywood to strip black men of their masculinity. He said he was labeled difficult just because he refused to take roles that required him to wear a dress or play gay characters. He also responded to Taraji P. Henson's claims of being underpaid in Hollywood as a black woman. His reaction? He wasn't surprised at all. He said, "This kind of disrespect has been happening for years." Then Terrence shared his own experience from hustle